Talitha Kumi Rising Queens. This is Tiffany Michael giving you another precious gem for the week. However, this gem is a special gem because it's a short interview series called 3 Words to My Teenage Self, where I invite women who have shared experiences that you rising queens have when they were teenagers themselves. They will talk about lessons that they have learned and what precious gems they can give to you so that you all can apply those gems in your teenage journey. So think of this as a conversation. My first guest on this episode is a very talented country hip hop music artist who has released a few amazing hits, such as Rep Where You From and If Heaven's Got a Back Road. She is also the CEO of 3 businesses and a wife and mother of 2 daughters. Today, you all get to hear her 3 words to her teenage self. Rising Queens, please welcome Jay Unique. So welcome, Jazz. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for taking time out of your night to have this conversation. I'm not even going to call it an interview. It's a conversation, and very one. So, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And again, thank you. You're welcome. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. And yeah. So let's get right on into this episode.
Definitely.
I know we are gonna have a great conversation. It's just gonna be so much talked about, and I know that what will be talked about, these rising queens will definitely learn from, and that will resonate with them as well.
Definitely.
So the question of the day, question of the evening, night, as we are here tonight.
Yes.
Um, excuse me if I'm probably a little nervous too. It's my very first interview, so I know I want this to be done very well. But
No,
uh,
you're doing great. That intro was amazing. I wanted to say thank you so much for having me. You know, I have 2 little queens I'm raising myself, so this means so much to me. Thank you so much.
and thank you again. Thank you as well. So, Jazz, what are your 3 words?
Yes. So when you first came to me with this, I went immediately into the mindset of boys can wait. And that was what I had said to myself at first. But I realized that's not technically giving, it's still true though, ladies, but that's not words that I really would want to be able to explain themselves even if I weren't there. And the 3 words that I chose was integrity, faith, and consistency. And I chose those 3 words. I'll start with the integrity, which is doing the right thing when nobody's around, nobody's looking. And I think that's the most important one for me because it is those moments when it's you have a decision to make, whether you feel like you're making the right or the wrong, whether you know you're wrong and you're going to make it anyway because you feel like it's right, or if you know you're trying your best and then you find out in the end, oh, that wasn't the right decision. Really trying to, as everybody says nowadays, standing on business, but really actually meaning it. Like
Mm.
even us right now, this meant something to me. You said we were going to meet, we're going to have this time. I made it a point to align with my husband to make sure our kids were good so I could keep my word and we could have this interview and have this time because I respect your time. And that comes, I'll go to the consistency next. I'm going to end with the faith. My consistency over the years, I learned about myself. I'm not sure if it's because I have ADHD. I'm definitely the hyper one, ready to go. But if you don't keep a decent schedule, you'll be all over the place. And so if you tell yourself, even in the small things, be consistent and follow through every single time. If you, it could be a skincare routine. As a teen, I suffered from horrible acne, cystic acne, and went on medication for it, had to have severe treatment. And if it wasn't for the consistency after a while, because in the beginning I was upset, I wasn't following what they were telling me. still drinking soda, not using the face wash, and then you're mad you're not getting the results that you want. And so when consistency steps in, like, no, I started drinking the water, taking the vitamins, staying consistent. I finally got the results that I desired. So that's why that one is a big one in school, work, even eventually in relationship. Being consistent and being a good woman. Well, holler, we want a good man, but we got to be good women too.
Yep.
And so on the last, I end with faith because I feel like there's been times where I did grow up very religious. I'm not putting that on anyone else. Your beliefs are your beliefs, but I grew up in the church. I split between Catholic and Baptist. So I do have a different understanding because I had split religions. So to judge, I really can't because I grew up going to both. I went to mass and church. So it depended on the Sunday who I was with, depending on what side of the family I was with. So having my faith, and I stand more on, I say I have my faith in Jesus Christ. There's been times where I've lost it. And there's been times when I've given up and didn't realize that was what I was doing until I was too far in. And I've been brought to some pretty dark situations where I've had my body, freedoms, and free will taken from me in many ways. And if it was not for my faith to be able to restore myself and build myself back up and believe that I still had a worth and a value after those moments occurred, I know God is real. I can never turn my back on that again. I give him all the praise and the glory, and I just keep going forward. I just encourage people, whatever you believe in, really take it there. My grandfather said something to me. He was like, you know how to pray, Jazz, but you got to really believe what you're praying about, or you're just wasting your time. My father in law says it all the time. If you're going to worry, why pray? And if you're going to pray, why worry? So it's just like, yes, sir. And ever since he said that, I take that. I thank my husband all the time for sharing his pops with me because he has definitely dropped some great wisdom on me. But yeah, if I'm in a bad place, if I'm not feeling right, it could be I'm in a bad storm driving. I might just go ahead and throw up a prayer real quick. Because whether I make it or not, I know which way I'm trying to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Those are some powerful three words that you have said, Jazz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Integrity, consistency, and faith.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
those are some very three important words that um, that young girls can definitely apply in their lives and in their teenage journey in this day and age.
Definitely.
I think it's safe to say for both me and you, since our days being when we were teenagers, they
Right.
really
Ooh.
rest and
Yes.
been somewhere. And, I feel like even though the situations are probably still the same, but I feel like magnified great.
Definitely. Definitely. They're broadcasted online for the world to see.
Yeah.
We're literally witnessing altercations that are resulting in death in young women,
Yeah.
and they're being broadcasted instead of broken up. And I can remember a time where if a fight broke out within seconds, the teacher's trying to break it up, the other kids maybe trying to break it up. But yeah, it is. I say it all the time. I know I definitely went through some rough moments and bullying and things, but am thankful I did not grow up as a young woman during these times because it is scary.
It is. I say to myself all the time, if I was a teenager in this day and age,
Right.
I wouldn't have made it
Right.
at all. So yeah, I'm grateful that I was a teen at the time that I was a teen back then
Right.
and now. Especially, with me, I used to work for an all girl charter school, and just the things that I saw, and the things that I've heard about, you know, young ladies going through in their own teenage journey, I'm just like, really? This is what's going on now? Like,
Right.
so but I hope that with these three words that you said, you know, these young ladies can listen, can hear and understand, and really take that with them, and how they can apply that to their own lives and their own journey. But I want to, you know, speak on each word that you mentioned. I want to start off with integrity, because, oh my goodness, if that is something that is needed now more than,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, I've seen and experienced situations in my career where a lot of the young ladies I've worked with have been put in situations where integrity is involved. Like, they have to make certain choices or certain decisions, and
Right.
how that affects them individually.
Right.
You know? And I'm just thinking about a situation with a group of girls, and how they went to go and just bully this one girl through social media. And, you know, I think about that from time to time, and I'm just like, all right, where is the integrity in these young ladies to just, you know, to go and just want to do something like that for whatever reason? uh,
Right.
but what does that say about their character, their integrity, who they are as an individual?
Exactly.
And, you
And
know,
these are hard conversations
yeah,
because it's like we don't want to sound like we're bullying them or judging them, but something has occurred in their lives that they move the way they move.
yeah,
And it's because that struck a chord with me very heavy because I experienced that exact situation even in our time, right as social media was starting to take off back in, I'd say, about 2009, 2010. And I was working at a group home. And outside of work, it had gotten a little messy and it spilled over into work. And we were in our 20s at that point. And these women thought it was okay to put my government name in a Facebook post, call me out of my name from bees to whores, and saying that I was the reason why women get a bad name, and just women I've never even met. Like, I knew one young lady tagged in the post, but the girl whose post it actually was, I never even met this girl. And so you're allowed to just go online and destroy my character name and everything and tag me in it. And when I see this modern day stuff where girls get so bold and they say she's not about that life because she didn't tag me, and I say to myself, well, maybe that means that girl was quote unquote about that life because she tagged me. But I feel like if you were about that life, whatever that life is, you either would have approached me woman to woman, or you would have looked at yourself before you put that up and realized what that would have made you look like. Because regardless of whatever I had done, you still thought it was appropriate to ridicule this person who may already be going through something. Because regardless of whatever you felt about me, those choices were being made because of something. And the things that they were saying was being done was complete false too. So then that's the part that a lot of this social media stuff is scary because things take off so fast without any accuracy.
sure do.
It's an amplified game of telephone.
Yep. And then, you know, another thing I just thought about was how, with you talking about that situation, how people like that don't stop and think
At all.
before they do.
What is going to affect someone else? Yeah.
They don't think about what's going to come from that, or any consequences, or they just go ahead and do it because
Yeah.
it's in that moment. Like, let me do this right now, because I'm the way that what they're feeling and whatever emotions or mood that they have, and in that very moment they just go ahead and just do it with no thinking at all.
Exactly. And it did. It impacted me in ways that I didn't know in that moment. Of course, I couldn't put it all on that moment because I had experienced other trauma and other experiences prior to that. But about 4 to 5 months after that experience, I had a suicide attempt. And it did. It pretty much was one of the final. I can just remember looking at that situation, thinking about everything else that had occurred. And it wasn't that I didn't necessarily feel like in that moment I didn't love myself. I no longer loved the world, and I felt I didn't fit. It
Mm.
was like in this moment, wow, I've really actually been trying to be kind to people. You think that you're doing right, you think you're carrying yourself one way, and yet what everybody else sees, well, now I'm not going to say everybody else, but in certain moments, what people see or want to portray that they have saw based off of no fact, and people would rather listen to that than actually come and get to know you themselves, or even if it was in a negative manner, come ask me. I tell people all the time, my mom used to get so mad at me because I'd put my foot in my mouth sometimes. I'd put up a Facebook post and I would be speaking my mind. Even after having had my suicide attempt, I put up a Facebook post about it because after I, thank God, made it, I was in recovery for a couple weeks after, and one of the young ladies from the job came to the hospital. And at first I'm thinking, wow, she really came to like visit me. Like, that was kind. But she actually came just to get information to take back and still further the bullying as if it hadn't already been taken to the next level. And so in that moment, and I'm thankful for those therapists. I'm thankful for my family, some of my coworkers. And then as years have passed now, I am so far removed from, like I said, God is real. So I know now we were young. I can forgive those people. But I do still look back, especially as I've been writing my novel. I analyze those moments because I do. I like to sometimes step in the other shoes and think, what possibly could this person have been thinking? Or also take accountability for myself and say, well, what did you do to possibly not present yourself well? It doesn't mean that what they did and how they received you and what they did back was right, but what did you do? Were you rude when you met someone? Were you pushy? Like, really ask yourself those questions and look at both sides. And I try to do that in every situation.
Yeah, that's really important. That is. But first and foremost, let me tell you this: that I am still glad and happy that you are here.
Thank you.
That God is still keeping you here.
Amen.
I mean, your existence, your presence is needed in this world, and you are here for a reason. You were meant to be here for a reason, and I am thankful, very thankful. So,
Same. I am thankful for you, sister. You know that always.
thank you. And also, yeah, it's important to look at a situation in every angle and every perspective and not always look at it one sided. As the saying goes, there's always two sides to every story.
Exactly.
Even if you felt like you didn't do anything, but sometimes you just never know.
Yep. Yep. And you have to accept that you may not be everybody's cup of tea.
That,
Like, I think that's what a lot of it was. I'm a big energy.
mm,
I'm from New York, but I grew up in the suburbs. So it depends on who you with and when you see me at first. Hate to bring in colorism, but I grew up as a light skinned woman being raised by a dark skinned woman. And so I was being taught by her, don't just allow that because you're light skinned, that means that you're beautiful or that you're first, not that you're not, but don't stand on looks and vanity. Stand on what's really inside. She said, because you'll see it all the time. You go with me places, until I smile at people, because of my darker skin, people will almost be intimidated by me. But until I have to put myself in a non-defensive manner for them to receive me, am I finally somewhat received? And so to have watched her experiences and seen the things that she went through, it shaped me to be in a mentality of respect everybody and try to just stay back. Hey, if they don't like you, they don't like you. And I may have been too much. I come in happy, friendly to some people. That's too much. Some people view that as fake or phony. You don't know me. Why are you so friendly? Depending on what they've been through, you never know. So you don't know my story. I've been through a lot, but I still choose to wake up every day, put my best face forward, and put it on with a smile. That's not being fake to me. That's my peace. Because if I went anywhere else, I might not be all right.
So for this, for integrity,
Right.
what would you say, or how would you let these rising queens know how they can apply integrity in their lives and their own teenage journey?
Yes. Just being a woman of your word, owning up to something. My husband, I've been noticing, he's been teaching our daughters right now. Tell the truth even when it's bad. And those moments, because they're small right now, 3 and 4, so they're a little bit of nitpicking right now. They'll be quick to say, she did it. And we'll solid know exactly who did it, but we want them to tell the truth because you don't put anything on anyone else that they haven't done as well. I am a survivor of sexual assault, but I also stand with the men who have been, and women who have been accused and were innocent, because I do not feel like no one should ever be accused of something, especially of that magnitude and the stigma and everything that's around it and that's left on that person. That is reserved for the people who have done that act. And so I tell my young women, don't be out here playing with these young men. If you know you want something, go for it. Have integrity in those moments and know, hey, if I make this decision as a grown woman, I have to accept whatever consequences or actions or any repercussions that come from this situation. And those behind closed doors moments are the moments that you will have to live with for the rest of your life. So, shaping up what's happening when you think no one's watching, whether that's stealing, whether that's out here setting people up, because I've met young women now that as early as 15, 16 are talking about setting up other homegirls and stealing from each other. And I had to go to jail. And during that time period, I met some people who they shared some stories with me that changed my life forever. And as early as 14 and 15, being sex trafficked and forced to do things and not be able to get back to your family, to end up in the same place as me in that moment because of your prostituting, or you've gotten caught stealing because you're trying to take care of your family. I met women who are mothers from prostitution and sex trafficking. And so life can take a turn in a blink of an eye. You would have never been able to tell me that I would have gone from being a straight A student, I'm a college student in the moment, just steps away from a bachelor's degree, and had a breakdown that would result in me ending up in jail. And in those time, that's where that faith came back in. That's where integrity and accountability and even consistency in there mattered. I had to tell myself I have to get up every day. Even though I can't open this door, get up. Because I started to feel numbness in my legs. It's like, yo, you're laying too long. You're letting this get you. You have to get up. So I started doing jumping jacks, push ups. By the end, I ended up having to do 120 days total. And by the end, I had lost about 30 pounds. I had written some music. I had written a book. I read over 30 books. And I had joined a prayer circle with some women there, and that was probably the strongest connection I could have made with people who are, I met people who are facing life, 28-year sentences, 47-year sentences, and these are women. And some of the, like I said, some of the stories, circumstances of wrong place, wrong time, you, because you're dating someone you are affiliated to, and just so many situations that your life can take a turn on you in a blink of an eye. And so I just tell baby girls to know, yeah, it's fun. You want to be out here. You want to do things, be grown, dress certain ways, own all of that. But just know every single decision that you make, especially now with the way technology is,
Yeah.
follows you forever.
Or does. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that one right there. That's that
Forever.
topic for another time because that technology
Yes.
does and oh my gosh. I mean, we used to hear it a lot about, whatever we do, those
Mm-hmm.
us for
Yep. It's gonna come to light. Yeah.
now
Yeah.
technology and these phones and these cameras. Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm. Well, thank you, Jazz. So thank you, Jazz, for that one on integrity. Thank you for giving that insight on how young ladies can apply integrity in their lives, in their teenage journey. And
I hope you enjoyed the first half of this conversation as Jay Unique and I discussed what it means to have integrity. Stay tuned next week as we continue our conversation. Like, share, and comment. Follow me on Instagram at Precious_Gems Podcast, Facebook at Precious Gems for the Rising Queen, TikTok and Snapchat at Precious Gems, which is spelled PR3, C1, 0, USG 3, MS. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Precious Gems Podcast. You can follow Jay Unique on Instagram and TikTok at Jay Unique Music. Have a great week, Rising Queens. Talitha Kumi.